It's a Christmas beer tasting.
I don't know yet.
I got to get a lot of people to taste Christmas beer for me because I can't drink beer.
Okay.
Okay. No, so every year in Norway at Christmas time, every place that produces beer comes out with Christmas beer. It's a thing. So anyway, we have to do testing, and Torben was supposed to, you know, he's like an expert critic. If you've ever heard him critique beer, it's absolutely hilarious. I think he'd give Karl a run for his money. So he was supposed to be here today, but he's not. No, apparently yeah, you can see he wrote hello from the Plague Lands. He came down with the plague over there, so we're gonna try to do it next week. But then it was kind of, well, we had a busy day at work today, so in the village. So the last minute we thought, what kind of Christmas food could we eat that we haven't already done in the last 2 years? And we thought, rock fisk. But it's better to wait until that goes on sale because it's super expensive. So I have to fix my glasses there. Look crooked. So I have Karl here. He's better. He doesn't have the plague anymore, Torben. But I have Russian stitches we can play with. That'll be fun. Just for a little bit, and then we'll go get Karl and give him a hard time. So if you have any really nasty Viking questions or just really ridiculous ones, save them up. So to see who's here. Charlotte is here from Bergen. It's cold here too. How cold was it today? Anders?
Huh?
How cold was it outside today?
I don't know actually.
You checking ear?
I can see.
I was glad to be stuck indoors today. Darn.
About 8 minus Celsius.
-8 Celsius. Okay, so yeah, no, it's when I drove over here, it was -8 in Hemsedal. And then when you get over Hemsedal Mountain, where you're even further up, it was -12, and that was on Friday at about noon. So high noon, it was -12. Anyway, so they're all freezing inside the village today. And oh my God, Pruda's got -21. Feels like that doesn't count, does it? Yeah. Anyway, I have to see how bad is it in Duluth. I gotta check. I don't know. Drea used to log in from Duluth, but and then of course Yakutsk. We have to know how cold it is in Yakutsk. So today's, how cold is it? Here, Duluth, Minnesota is -12. Nope, -13, but it feels like -21. So they'll give you a run for your money, Pruda. That's Celsius. And then, of course, we have to check Yakutsk. Because it's not cold unless you've actually beaten Yakutsk. And they're at -37, but it feels like -37, so there you go. Anyway. Albert is here, and Karin Okra is here. Cold here in Minnesota. Okra, yeah. Yeah, so you're in there. Oh, so how cold is it where you are then, Karin? I have to see, though, because where I'm from, she's my other Karin, by the way. I'm Karin with an I, she's Karin with an E. No. Rhonda's here. She's in chilly in Denver. Denver's pretty cold today. She's chilly in Denver. And then Susan Youngman's here. Are you in the Adirondacks still? Yep. Hello from rainy and cold Adirondacks. Watching on stash busting Mobius. No, working on a stash busting Mobius scarf in Oslo stitch. If you don't know what that is, it's like a scarf that joins in the middle, but it's twisted intentionally. So it kind of looks like that. It's quite nice. It lays nice too. I haven't actually made one of those. I only make them on accident when I'm supposed to have a tube joined, and it just... Anyhow, but you have to have, like, allow for extra stitches, I think. Otherwise, it'll get eaten up real fast. Garcia's here in chilly Holland. She's got 0 degrees. Oh, you're the winner today in hot, sunny, sunny Holland. Anne Moreau is hi from cold Belgium. She has to wake Mark's warm socks. I have to do that, too. Let's see who else. Kiwi's here. We know they're cold in Bergen, where she is at. And then Torben, how cold is it in the Plague Lands? Or your radiator temperatures, I'm hoping. Nella's finishing up her dress, which comes from the deep stash. I bought the fabric back in 2014. Oh, I've got yarn that's older than my kids. But I like your deep stash diving. That's really good. I did not do any stash busting at all this week because my tendonitis is still bad, but it's better than last week. So instead I made these little samples, which I had to mark so I remember what I did. Let's see. Regina's here. She's got a needle and a ball of thread, so she's ready to go. And Roger's here. Yeah, Roger's the big winner. He's got 14 degrees Celsius in Huntington Beach. Sucks to be you. Let's see. Jessica Oliver's here. I haven't seen her. Hello, Jessica. Anyway, she's balmy 60 in Spokane, Washington. Wow, I think you're actually even warmer than Roger. Roger in Huntington Beach. Unless you put Fahrenheit. Yeah, you put Fahrenheit and he's 57, so okay. Nope, he still wins. Amrose here, she's got 4. Torben says here in Loftus we have a comfy 0 degrees, and that's summer temperatures. No, that is actually quite warm. I remember when it was 0 here. There was snow up on the mountains though, which was kind of nice. It was like, you know how then they break the snow? So there's like these little ridges the whole way, because they're kind of trying to break it to have ice so you can actually slow down. The whole mountain in the car. That was fun. Let's see. -10 where Karin is as well. Okay, so she's slightly warmer than Duluth. And Kai is here at +1, and it's really cold all the time in southern tip of Norway. No, it's not cold. Really, it's really not cold at all here. No, if you're +1, you're actually, I think you're probably the big winner in Norway today. Who haven't I said hello to? No, I think we got everybody. If I missed you, it's because my scroll isn't going further back. Should we play with Russian stitches? I have to show you this now. I have to put this thing down. Oopsie. Using my t-shirt as a backdrop, or my sweater. Okay. So, I have to, if you go into Nylakentat's webpage, I have to show this. Let's see if I can zoom. I'm always pronouncing her name wrong, but anyway, you can see, oop, there we go. That page there, that's the Russian family anyway. And you have the EN in the front, that means you get it in English. Otherwise, you just have to look and click up on the flag. So today we can do Dalby and Telemark. I haven't actually gotten that ready. I did make a sample of ULO, and that was the one that was on the video that Ann Decker posted or shared not too long ago with the lady in the 19 God knows what, making socks with goat hair and wool hair for, that was a shoe sock. I've never seen one of those before. She was using that stitch. It looked really weird, but it's a cool stitch anyway. And then I did a Chaiti example, which is 1 + 2 + 1. And then I did, what else? I did a couple more. I didn't realize this though. Did you see, where is it? I can't find it now. Yeah, it's just called Russian stitch. 2 + 2 + 2. It's just called Russian stitch. I don't think Finnish has one that's just called Finnish stitch. So I did one of those as well, and that thing was super huge. Anyway, so I'll move that and see how I can hug the computer. I had to mark these because I wasn't going to be able to sit and look at them afterwards. Let's see, where's Dalby? I think this is Dalby because it's much looser. But I noticed when I had to do these, I had to, oh, it's really zoomed. I had to do it much looser than normal. There we go. I had to do them a little bit looser on my thumb because this is a really stiff yarn and I kept trying to, it was getting super tight. So, okay, this is Dalby, which is Russian 1 + 1 + 1. I'll show you how I did that. That one, but you can see how thin it is. It twists a little. I have to steam it if I want it flat, or do my twists a bit better, I guess. And then I have to do Telemark. Telemark is the same as this one, but you go over the working thread instead of under. And then ULO. This one was the 1 + 1 + 2. So I have to remember what I did there. I think that was what this one is anyway. There we go. It goes this way. So the working thread is on the top. So you can see that one's a little bit denser. And then I did Chaiti, which is 1 + 2 + 1. I think I might have these two mixed up. I have to double check, but that goes like that. They're about the same thickness, I think. It should be. But you can see there's a bit more of a, maybe you can't. This edge here is a little more raised on the Chaiti one than it is on the ULO one. Stay. They want to twist. And then Russian 2 + 2 + 2, which is apparently just Russian stitch. That's too easy. That thing is massively dense. I didn't count my stitches though, but you can see how thick it is. I didn't start the right way, or however the prettiest way is to do, but you can cut that off anyway and it doesn't matter, so. But okay, so who's played with Russian stitches and what's your favorite? There's so many. I know Nella's been doing some. I know somebody's been doing the Chaiti stitch lately. I do Dalby a lot and Telemark a lot. I think I've only done this a couple times because it's really thick. But now because of the video that Ann posted, I kind of want to make a pair of mittens in this one. Hey, see you. You're walking out with 2 sacks of wood. Is it that cold? It's a blacksmith. All right, so this was the... What do I recommend for socks? It depends on how thick you want them. I like this one if I'm talking... Oh, yeah, I have to see. How cold is it? No, wait, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, no, it's looking at me, not you. Sorry. There he is. I gotta zoom on you. You're too dark.
I don't have a firewood with me though.
No, where's your fire? There you are. There's Blackfist, Mr. How many you got? You don't have 100K anymore now. How do you have?
139, I think.
How many did you get after you posted yourself riding on a horse?
I don't know actually. I don't see the difference anymore.
Oh no, okay. Oh, he's got 139 now. He's way too good for me. My 4,000 looks like shit now.
4,000 is still good though.
4,000's not bad considering I'm not advertising. Well, I guess I kind of am, but not really. No. Let's see.
Don't have a good day.
No, I won't have a good day.
Have a
Okay.
great day.
Have a great day. There we go. Sorry, I got that into shot now. I think I'm still massively zoomed out. There we are. So yeah, if you're going to do socks, you know, whatever you get the right thickness with, remember this is the one row. So when you go 2 more rows, the one in the middle is going to be slightly denser than this. But the thing I like about the Russian stitches is look how flat that is. And so if you want to embroider, this is a good one to embroider on. I think with this yarn, it's kind of, you know, this thick anyway. I don't know how many wraps per inches, but it's like a worsted. That one, I think you could probably, this would probably be doable. The 1 + 1 + 2 or the 1 + 2 + 1. Just popping in to say hi. And remember a Christmas pattern. No, I got it. I was supposed to write up my Christmas pattern. I got Karl to take a picture of himself in it. It's really quite funny. And then I had a car issue this week. I brought my car in because it kind of started sounding funny on Tuesday. And then I waited 8 hours for it to get looked at. And they called up and told me that the engine is dead. So I suddenly had to find myself buying a new car before Friday morning so I could get back to work. And unfortunately, it's a new old car. I wish it would have been a little newer, but if it just gets me through 7 months, I'll be happy. And then I can look for something more. Anyway, so roller coaster of emotions, didn't get that done. But I'm doing better now. Okay, so anyway, I'll do that. And, okay. To see what else am I missing on chat here. I even opened up a window so I could see it. That one. They said hi. Oh, fuck, he's gone. Sorry, don't use my language. Max Brandt is here. I think it's pronounced Kita. It could be. I've gone American with it, I think, with Kaiti, Kitee. But then again, I can't even pronounce Nylock and Tut, so there you go. And please before next Saturday. No, I should be able to get that done soon. I don't have anything to do after this. I was going to sit and watch Torben and Karl get drunk on Christmas beer, but since Torben decided to get sick and infest his whole family with the plague, I might have some time tonight for that. So there you go. Oh, I hear Andres is coming back in. He has to spam push the code on the door. So I can... They said hi, by the way.
Hi.
He says hi. We had a horse last week here for the Christmas market, and everyone had to get a picture taken on it. I didn't because, you know, I don't want to break the horse. This is the needle I was trying to find last week, though. I like to use it for picking thin yarn. The only thing is I've got a couple of these. It's a weaver's needle. It's flat on one end, but it's longer, so it's easier for me. But this one is a little sharper of the two, and it's with these stitches, it's ticking me off. So I have to do... The translators are waiting and waiting. I have a huge chat. I got to catch up on that. See you, Marie. Oh, yeah, and Maria's, maybe Peruta can find it, link the Christmas calendar. There's one up already. I think it's a gnome, if I'm not sure. Actually, I can show you that real quick. Let's see how I find that. There we go. Whoop. And nope. It's a very sensitive one. So if we look up Maser of Nalbinding. Yeah, it comes up for me automatically because I already have it. Nalbinding with the A with a circle over it. Let's see if I can zoom. There. And then you'll find it. Means a lot of needle binding in Danish. So when you click on that, you'll see the new one. This is the one that you can make now. There's a pattern for that one. This one is done by, it's a little nisse, which means the little gnome, Michi. It says Michi 2022. And they've got that translated in English, Danish, German, Swedish, Spanish, Dutch, and Italian. Wow, we got a lot of languages this year. And there should be a new one coming out tomorrow. It won't be mine. Oh, that's the one I made last year with Karl. He's my awesome model, Count Nidula. Anyway, but there should be another one coming out, I think, tomorrow after this one that you can see. So I'll zoom, take that away. So if you use Dalby and make a circle, is it then called a Dalby surround? Yeah, absolutely. Viking Dalby surround, sorry. Okay, I'm missing chat, but let's see, what am I missing here? Ah, Rhonda's using Dalby and a Mobius cowl. I never know how to pronounce that word. Mobius. Oh, it's cold where Arlene's at too. Kiwi says she's only done Dalby, Telemark, and the... I'm not even going to pronounce that one, but we can look up what it is. And Anne says, yeah, what we did for the socks. I think whatever is dense enough anyway. If it's socks like this one is Dalby and I'm using this yarn, I would probably want it just a hair tighter. You can see the loops coming through there. But again, row 2 will be... Okay, so when you're going to do Dalby, you need 2. Or 2 behind the thumb. Why does this feel like it's super zoomed still? But oh well. So you have 2 behind the thumb and 1 on the thumb, and the yarn goes under. But you take and you switch these 2 around. You lift this one back. There's a couple different ways you can do it. And then you grab this one from behind the second one. And then you go back through that one and down. Almost all the rushing, I think all the Russian stitches twist like that. And then you... But there was this cool thing on the video that Anne posted. You kind of have to loosen them every time first. You can take this second one. You can see which is your second one, because it goes there. And then the third one hasn't gone through there yet. Anyway, you can take the first one, you can put it on your finger. Then you find the second one, go through that way, pick that one up from there and there. It does the same thing. Sonkajärvi. Okay, Sonkajärvi. Okay. I will learn this. There. So I always do it kind of like this. Sorry. And then but it's hard to see what I'm doing. And scoop. But yeah, if you really want to dissect it, you can put the second one behind your thumb and just pick this one from behind. Sorry, this one there. Then grab it and then go under and under. That's Dalby. And once I get the hang of it, it's actually kind of like second nature. But in the beginning, it's kind of an annoying thing. But actually, this needle seems to be splitting my yarn quite easily because it's a little too sharp, so it's bugging the crap out of me. Anyway, Dalby. So if you want to do... We'll put that one up here because it's the loosest. If you want to do telemark, it's the same thing, but you go over the working yarn. I did not make a sample of that because I was working today and not supposed to be playing with yarn. Let's see if I can find the end of this thread. I kind of should have picked a better yarn. This is a really stiff yarn. Then I lost the end of my yarn. Oh well, I'll just break it off in 2 places. Okay, so let's see, then thread that. Holding the loop out of the way like that. Neat trick. I saw that, I think it was Sana on her Neulakentat page that had one of the videos look like that. But I was trying to, that's kind of why I was wondering what that lady was doing in the video, because she was holding it away, and she is doing the willow stitch, by the way, from the best I can tell, and we'll show that one in a minute. But yeah, she holds it out of the way, so it took me a bit to see. So it doesn't matter how you start, just get some loops on. If your start looks ugly, just cut it. So for Dalby and telemark, we need 3. So 1, 2, 3. Now I have 3. And then you do it just like Dalby. You go under, you just twist it anyway, and then go back. If it's too fast for you, just look it up on Neulakentat. Oops, my little post-it note. Ugh, I Gotta force them into the right spot sometimes. Oh, I did that. The first one I did was Dalby. That was stupid. I was supposed to go over that. It's just like last week. I wasn't paying attention and I started doing the wrong thing. I was supposed to show Mommen, and then I thought I'll show Rindal, and I did another Mommen. There. But then you go over that yarn instead of under. And this is the plate. Anytime it says plaited edge, you're most likely going to be going over the working yarn. And then force it over like that. Should we do that little put it on the finger trick? I think it would stretch out your stitch a little bit if you did that, but as long as you did it all the way, all the time that way, then you would get a consistent gauge. Let's see. I kind of like that trick, but it takes me a little while to get used to it. But this thing really wants to split my ply, this needle. So if I was doing a half stitch, Nella, you who are on here, do you see any half stitches in the Russian family? I mean, you could do it, because I'm making half stitches on accident here with this needle. Esmekat, I think I've said that right. She's brand new to learn needle binding and want to learn. Okay, this is not a newbie friendly stitch, but if it inspires you, what the crap. I like to start with Oslo. Some people like to start with York. York is actually quite easy, but it's really twisty and very loose at first. But if you have a fat yarn. And then some people like to start with Mommen because it sits a little bit better on their thumb. Actually, my first one that I've actually managed to get myself when I was doing that was Mommen. Mommen and Corgan, they're the same thing until you connect them. But, so what do you guys think is the best first stitch? I know somebody does the buttonhole stitch, the blanket stitch. I'm not a fan of that one for the first one because it's very different than just about most other needle binding you're doing. So then if you're doing the buttonhole stitch the whole way, you're going to wonder why everybody else's work looks different than yours. But it does have a really cool effect. And then, of course, it grows very slowly. You want something that grows fast so you feel like you're actually accomplishing something. But the trick is to use a really fat yarn. We're talking like 4 times thicker than this one here. And you can use a darning needle. I'm just using a weaver's needle here, as long as you can get your yarn through the eye. And then you can look for a needle binding needle later. So my biggest pet peeve is when people call it a nawl. It's a needle. Because nawl, or N-A with a circle over it, L, nål, is a squeegee in Norwegian. Nawl is a squeegee in Norwegian, but with a circle over it, it's nål, but that just means needle. So it's kind of like calling water agua. So there you go. If you want to get on my nerves, call it a nawl. A lot of people seem to do that. I think it's just a way to differentiate the needle binding needle versus a regular sewing needle. Okay, I think I've done enough of these stitches. You were happy that you learned, Oslo, going York was easy. Yeah, York is easy. It's super twisty. So if you are not used to connecting to the next row, it's like this, and it's really hard to work with. And then you're going to end up with a Mobius shawl, whether you want one or not. Okay, so this is telemark, the plaited edge. You can see that the yarn is in the up position, but it goes under the last loop. Whereas in Dalby, it looks like the finished stitches. The loop is on top and pointing up. But that's the difference. Dalby on top and telemark on the bottom. They look pretty close on this side, but when you flip them over, then you'll see the telemark on the bottom is a little bit more braided looking. But I think it has, on the first side anyway, I think one of the edges is a little bit more raised. Right now, though, it looks like my Dalby's more raised. Anyway, and the other biggest tip I could ever give you, tip I could ever give you when you're needle binding is, it's going to look super curly on your thumb, and it won't look like it does in the video. It's not wrong. You just need to stretch it so all the loops lock into place. So you probably did it right all along and didn't even know. But yeah, look in the chat and see what what works for you, or someone else might work better for you, or I don't know. So this was, if I remember right, the ULO stitch. I might have picked up the wrong one. ULO, if I'm even pronouncing that one wrong. Okay, Max, how do you pronounce ULO? O-U-L-U. Can you use beads in Nalbinding? Yes, you can. Somebody did that recently. You would do that like knitting, I think, or crochet anyway. You would, no, actually in crochet you put all the beads on the yarn first, and then you work with it, but here you can't. So you would thread your stuff though, but you'd have to have a needle or bead that could fit through. So you could, as soon as you're ready to go, put a bead on and then make your stitch, or you could put it on halfway through your stitch and then do the next one, put a bead on. You'd have to put a new bead on every time, I think. Somebody did that recently. I think it was on Instagram, I think I saw. Okay, so ULO is 1 + 1 + 2. So I think, yeah, that was the one that Lady was doing. So you have one here, and the 2 is the 2 that you're twisting behind. Unless I got that backwards. Is there a video that you would recommend to start with? I made a very short sample so far, but I really need something to reference until I learn it by heart. Everybody's got a favorite video. You can go ahead and throw it in there. I actually didn't make too many because I think that Annoy webpage is so good. It's not, no point recreating the wheel, but I start differently than she did. I can show you that really quick. The way that I start is different than her, but like I said, it doesn't matter how you start, just get going. And you can always cut it away. It's not going anywhere. So for Oslo, you need 2 loops. You need one on your thumb and one behind. So I make a pretzel knot. Hopefully you're right-handed. But I make a pretzel knot so that the yarn goes under the loop. I'll show you in a second what that site is. And then I go under everything. If you're not sure where to put the loop, I kind of do it right at the fingernail level there. If it starts out going over, just force it and the next stitch will match up. But then you go under everything to make another loop. You catch the new loop under the old. The biggest tip I can give you is lock your stitch, or lock your finger so that it doesn't, because the yarn's going to want to jump and you don't want it to do that. So you have to make it stay down. So your new one is always under the old, just like a loose sit. Then you can either take that off and go away and then towards, or you can go leave 2 of them on, which might be good if you're a beginner. So you know your old loop is this one. You can pick it from underneath and leave it on. It's just the same. And then turn and go under that one and under that one. But what I mean by lock is put your finger over the needle before you pull the needle through and don't take it away. And that way your yarn won't take a shortcut. But that's a really quick Oslo stitch. And I'll show you that link. Oh, there you go. Prue to put it in chat. But that's the YouTube one. But you can, yeah. Otherwise, you can go on to it's the Needle Binding Bible. And so I use it constantly. Let's see. Because I'm better at the practical and not about the history or anything. So this one's really good. Let's see. You can watch me try to play. You can just type Annoy. There, you can see it right there. If it's focusing, yeah. But it's actually www.e.en. That's for English. Otherwise, it's in Finnish. And then, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit better there. There. That'll take you to the main page. And then if you're looking, she's got a bunch of stuff on here for you, including left hand. But the Oslo stitch, you can either search for it or it's under the finished stitch here. And then you'll find Oslo. Oops, and the other ones they were talking about. And if you click on Oslo, she'll show you what it looks like from the front side or the back side. Actually, when you're done, you decide which is the front and the back. But the way that it is facing you when you're doing it, that's actually the technical front. And the way it is from this side, that's your technical back. But you actually decide when you're done which way you want forward and backwards. And then she's got links in here somewhere. There. Link, how to start the first loops, short video, and that'll take you straight to her page. But she starts differently than I do. But again, it doesn't matter how you start, just get going. And then she does them in Finnish and English for a while. Sometimes she just doesn't talk at all, but the thing is then she does it twice. But I'll leave that one for you to play with later. Okay, then let's see. Put my chat back up so I can see it. Yeah, but give it a go, and if you're in that needle binding group, Nalbinding, N-A with a circle over it, L-B-I-N-D-I-N-G, then you can get a lot of help. There's like about 6,000 to 8,000 people on that page now, or in that Facebook group. I have to be better at posting on Reddit. Okay, so where was this one? Is the one that I was doing, the Chaiti? Yeah, I think this was it. Okay, so I have to put it back on my thumb. No, not it's the ULO, sorry, ULO. So the ULO had the, oops, I'm way too zoomed. All right, there we go. And then we'll push it down again. Okay, so this one, you have one on your thumb still, but then you need to work over 3 loops behind. And this is where you kind of got to watch your, this is your second loop, this is your third loop, and that's your 4th loop. So you don't lose the, are you going to come play with us after you're done with your addiction, Karl? You going to come play with us when you're done?
Yep.
Okay, I've got about 5 more minutes playing with this. Okay, so this one, you got the 1 loop going away, so you got that, but you're going to pick these 2, the second and the, or the 3rd and the 4th loop underneath. So if we did that lady's trick where she put it on her finger, take the 2 and the 3rd from behind. This is not a newbie friendly stitch, I'm so sorry. And then go that way, pick that off, and then that way. And unless I picked up the wrong sample, it should look like the rest of them. Or you could take, loosen those up. You can just do, scoop those 2 from behind and then 1. So you're actually working over 4 loops. But I kind of liked that trick where she did it that way. It just quite, it makes it quite newbie friendly. Take these 2 from behind, the 3rd and the 4th loop. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. And then scoop it and go through like that. And that was ULO. Yeah, it looks like I did pick up the same stitch because it seems to match the last few. I did it, you see I can start it, I did it gets fatter here because I had to start doing it really loose on my thumb because my needle was piercing everything. But when you stretch it, it kind of goes even again. Anyway, okay, and then there was the, what'd you say it was, Kite? That one, if I get my little note there so I remember. That one is 1 plus 2 plus 1. So put that on my finger. Let's see, was it this one? Yeah. So you got 1 on your thumb and 3 behind. Like that, 1 and 3. But this time you're gonna go under 2 and scoop the 4th one. And then go back through those 2 again. But you could also do that way. That if I don't pull it too tight, I can fit it over both fingers. So you got 1, 1st loop, 2nd loop, 3rd loop, and then you scoop the 4th, and then go back, take that off. It's a different way of doing it, but it's kind of hard to get your gauge. So if it's kind of tricky for you, just kind of do it loose every time. Let's see. But you gotta keep your loops in order. 1st loop, 2nd loop, 3rd loop. For this one, otherwise you'll get something very different. But when you're making a whole hat with it or something, you kind of, it becomes second nature, and then you try to go back to Oslo and you can't do it anymore. Like that. Okay, and that is 1 plus 2 plus 1. I think so. Then the 2 is the ones that you move. Okay, I got 1 more stitch to go, and then you got to have some funny questions for Karl because I haven't made him stress lately. Have a seat, Karl. This is the one that just called Russians. It is hard, yeah, but once you play with it, but use, I don't know, I'm not sure if I really am too thrilled that I used applied yarn because when I try to pull the stitches out from the back, I tend to go between the ply, and then the ply can look like more than one yarn. So I kind of regretted doing that. But make it loose a little bit at first, just till you get used to it, and then find a gauge and stick with it. Okay, so this one is, it just was called Russian. I was kind of surprised, but it's 2 plus 2 plus 2. So you have, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, 6 of them you have to do. So 1 and 2 go on your hand. And if you were going to do it with a finger trick, then 3 and 4 go on your forefinger if you did it that way. And then you got to pick 5 and 6. This is so crazy. 5 and 6, you can see this needle, this yarn isn't great for this. And then go back through. But all these are, the Russian stitches are all kind of done that way, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they're all done with your flipping the loops around the back. So the Finnish family is easier. Where's my second loop? There it is. So if you do those 2, you can do it, oops, sorry, that way. And then you got to go under the 3rd and 4th, but 5th and 6th, yeah. And then back through again. But this makes a really, it looks like Dalby, but it's like super dense. So it's got those little tracks in the middle there that looks like footprints. can do one more. So first loop. I'm expecting some really bad questions for Karl. Bad Viking questions. If you haven't met Karl yet, he's a professional Viking. He's also a guide here at Viking Valley. And he does not know how to needlebind at all. So that's the Viking part of the title. Sometimes we're more Viking than Nalbinding. Sometimes we're more Nalbinding than... Okay, like that. I make this look so easy. Now, this one, I really regret pulling this too tight. One more. I kind of like this finger trick, though. I think I have to do that all the time. Karl's getting excited when I say that. I should probably not. No, I'm just kidding. Dirty mind. Okay, and then... I think the finger, putting it on that finger is a little bit easier, but you're going to have looser. You can't pull it like super tight. You're going to have to leave it a little loose and the same amount of looseness every time. There you go. So that's Russian stitches. And she's got a video for every one of them on there. I'll bring it out one more time. So if you go into the, let's see, pull this up. Did the Vikings use magic mushrooms or anything else? Oh, good. This will be fun. That's like from Floki. Okay, so there, here you can see. These are all the loops. That first number is the loops you have here. And then the second number, I believe, if I had that right, was the numbers that the stitches that you're going through this way. And then the third one is the ones the second number is the ones you're skipping from behind. And then the third number is the one you go through. So, but anyway, you can see there's all different ones. I don't see any half stitches. If it's plated edge, it's because they're going over the working yarn. And then this is F1B1. That's a completely different connection. So it looks like these two are the same, but this just has a different connection, and that's the only thing that separates the two. But play with them. They're kind of fun. And every one of these, if you click on it, like this is the one that you were doing, 2 plus 1 plus 1, you can see she's got a picture of what it looks like, front and back. If there's some, that one's got a really raised ridge. Oops, sorry. But she'll have something where you can read about it. It is misleading calling it the Finnish family and the Russian family because the Finnish stitches are not all from Finland and the Russian stitches are not all from Russia. It's just the way they made them. But there you got a link here. And you can see how she makes them. Oh, I got to clean my screen. But yep. Anyway, I'll let you play with that later because Karl's here. Let's see. If I zoom out, put it back. You can see it on my face. It's a Karl. I gotta find you. Okay, I gotta find you some questions. There's a whole bunch of them in chat. I've been kind of ignoring chat. What have you been doing today, Karl?
Guiding.
Who are you guiding?
Guests.
Where are they from?
Norway for the most part today.
Are you picking on Norwegians today, or were they good customers?
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, no, they seem pretty nice.
Actually dressed for the weather, which is nice.
Yeah?
Because with the foreigners, they either completely overcompensate, so they show up in winter clothes in Norway in May, or they completely misunderstand what the Norwegian winter is like, so they show up like they are dressed for a chilly day in Barcelona in minus 20 degrees here. And it's kind of hard to guide people who are literally dying from exposure while you are guiding them.
Roger's the big winner. It's 14 degrees Celsius, above zero in Huntington Beach. But I think Prude is the big freezer. She has a minus, I forgot what it was, minus a lot. Yeah, minus 21. Well, it says freezing here, feels like minus 21. So, could be either one.
Yeah, you had a question about magic mushrooms?
Yep. Oh, Ron is having boiled eggs and toast with a pear, just in case you were wondering. That sounds really good. We're going to have pizza today. We bought pizza for you, Torben, because I couldn't be asked to cook, and I figured you guys would be too drunk to eat anything else, and then you're not here.
To answer the question about magic mushrooms.
Yes.
They might have used it as a recreational drug. I would say it's unlikely, because in the sagas there is lots and lots and lots of references to alcohol, but as far as I know, no references to anything like that. The thing that people keep reiterating is the use of it as some kind of combat drug. And I'm not dopehead, so I wouldn't know. But
Thank God.
the way I understand these mushrooms to work is that they causes you to hallucinate and lose contact with reality.
That way.
And I can't imagine anything worse to happen to you on a battlefield than zoning completely out, hallucinating, and having a conversation with your sword while somebody is actively trying to kill you. I would think that would be really bad.
What about the Berserker thing where they supposedly took, well, one myth is that they took a bunch of mushrooms to get like really enraged and
There is
batshit crazy?
no mushrooms that does that.
No.
The latest fad is that I took black henbane, and that makes you hallucinate, and it also makes you angry. And you can make some arguments for anger being good on a battlefield. I would say that cooler heads would probably prevail, but let's say it's good. The thing with black henbane is that it also gives you stomach cramps. So I would think hallucinating and stomach cramps is not worth it just to get a little bit more angry. And you should probably be angry enough when you are faced with the enemy without substances.
See, by the way, I gotta catch back up on Garcia she finished a black hat in Oslo. Anybody who needle binds, crochets, or knits with black yarn, there's a lot of love in that. I have to take off my glasses for it, can't do it. I made a hat, part of the stash busting thing, the dark green, dark blue kind of a thing. It was a mix. Oh my God, I had to do that in waiting rooms at doctor's offices because it was so much light there that I could actually see the stitches. But the glasses were coming off for every one of those. So there you go. There's a lot of love in that. Let's see. Just catching up on what I missed out on. Oh, Max is all the pronunciation. Vesmajärvi. I have to try all of these. I don't do enough on the Russian stitches because Oslo is just so damn fast. Kiwi said when I taught needle binding to my aunt this summer, I taught her Faubourg stitch, which is finished 2+1. We did that last week. Since it's just as easy as Oslo, but a little bit more dense. Yep, it's only like the first couple stitches might take a while, and after that it just falls into place because you're doing the same thing over and over again. Olu, that's how you pronounce it. I was calling it Ulu, but Olu. PJ Lightning's here, by the way. I sometimes use Nook for Nalbinding. It's a crochet hook with an eye at the other end of it. Oh, I've seen those. I have no idea what that's for, but that's actually a really good idea. These pretzels are making me thirsty, says Torben. I thought you were sick, and we had beer here for you. Who's Torben, by the way, Karl?
Some Norwegian dude.
Some Norwegian dude. You know him. Where do you know him from?
Norway.
We might have a link issue. I don't know. Nope, it's working. Let's see. How come the Viking swords are so small and inferior, says Torben. Karl bought a Viking sword this week. Go get it. You know you want to get it. He ordered it. Where did you order it from? What country? He's too busy getting the sword. Oh, you know what you were doing with that question, Torben. So, and it's a sharp sword too. So normally he likes to demonstrate that. Part of his speech is like, in this village, our weapons here are not sharp. And he does that. One of these days he's going to pick up the new one and say, our weapons here are not, ow! And the reason our weapons are not sharp in this village is because we just don't have enough volunteers to use the real ones. But in the Viking Age, they would be absolutely razor sharp. Okay, I think we're going to have to zoom out a little so we can see all of you on this one. Am I completely zoomed out? Yeah. Maybe if I do it like that. They might be able to get all of you stand in front of the chair there.
I am now the proud owner of 2 sharp Viking swords.
Yeah.
The one I've had for a while is this one.
Stand in front of the chair, those are squared. Otherwise all the books in the background you can't see.
This one is...
This way! Thank you.
This one is a reproduction of one of the biggest ones that has ever been found. The original was cut off about here. So they are just estimating the length of the blade from the tapering of the blade. But considering how big the pommel is and the tapering of the blade, they're estimating it to be about this size.
Can you see the pommel before? You move it around so fast. If you can see how big that is, yeah. Okay.
This one is based on the Norwegian find from Trøndelag, and it is way too heavy for me. If I start moving this thing, I have no chance of controlling it or stopping it. So I cannot use this for cut training or cut demonstrations, because if I start a cut with this one, I will go complete 360 before I manage to stop it. That's why I bought the other one.
The sharp one.
Both of them are sharp.
Oh, did you sharpen the other one too? I have to put this up a
Always
little
been
higher.
sharp.
Uh-huh. Okay, come over here closer then. If you're almost in front of the chair, they can see all of you. That's your new toy, and the pommel is
This-
smaller.
This one is a much more correct representation of what a common Viking sword would look like. This weighs a little bit less than a kilogram, or around a kilogram, plus minus a little bit. And it is, I don't know if you can see it.
If you put it against the wall background, then it shows it better. See, there you go. It's super thin.
Yeah, and it's razor sharp. And also because it is, the edges are actually sharp, they're not rounded. So it is a lot lighter than the reenactment swords we usually use, because to work they have to have enough mass to not actually cut somebody. With this one, I kind of want to cut people. So
Torben, run away. You do
if
it?
you listen, you'll hear that I'm not
Let me move my head far out of way before you do that.
when you make a perfect cut, you shouldn't be able to hear it. But if it's a little bit crooked, you'll hear a whistling sound.
Oh, I can hear it.
Yeah, that's because I'm not
it
I'm not
again.
doing perfect cuts.
It sounds like Zorro.
Yes, and Zorro is also a bad swordsman because he makes the same sounds.
It's not a Viking anyway.
If you make a perfect cut, you won't hear it.
Yeah?
Because there will be no turbulence behind the blade, because the blade is going directly through the air.
Yeah.
And if I purposefully do it completely wrong, you should hear it even more. Okay, might be overdoing it a little bit
I
there.
heard it more the first time. What kind of what find is that based on?
It's based on an Irish find. This is the original is in the museum in Dublin. They've been a little bit creative because I found pictures of the original, and the pommel is really decorated on the original one. Also, this pommel should be in two parts: the top pommel and the bottom pommel, and they should be joined together with basically nails that go through here. But on this one, it's one part, and the tongue of the sword goes through it here. Practically, it makes no difference. I would prefer it if it was more in line with the original, but it works. It's well made. The balance point is about here. I'm not touching the blade on this one because...
No, it really is sharp, yeah.
No, it's not that. The fat from my fingers will...
Oh,
not be
yeah,
good for the blade.
Torben! He got it, yes, he's already been rubbing Vaseline all over it.
Vaseline is kind of a cheap rust protection. So I'm trying to keep it away from fat, and I want the blade to stay like this, ideally for some years.
No, it's nice. Are you happy with it?
I'm very happy with it.
It's your new toy? Who are you gonna... You said you wanted to cut with it. Who do you want to cut?
The
blacksmith was just here. Do you want to cut him?
No. Also, human blood and salt water are about the worst things you can get on a sword, so you probably should try to avoid that if you can.
Whoops, we're looking at our messy shelf there with it's the library shelf. I saw they've still got the... I like Anne Morrow's thing, don't real Vikings needle bind. It just got like a wink. Actually, this is something we get questioned about quite a bit. There's only, what, 4 finds if you count the Mommen thing in the Viking Age in Scandinavia. One of the finds is actually not in Scandinavia. It's the Jorvik sock. It's from Jorvik, England, or York. But it was Scandinavian DNA, so we're taking that stitch. There's the Oslo stitch, which was, the name came after the Viking Age, but there was a mitten found with this stitch. There was Finnish 2+2, which is also was a mitten. And then there's Mommen. Mommen is actually a decoration that was done on a pendant, I think, and they used silver wrapped thread. So it's not really a thing, it's just a little sample. And that's all they found in Scandinavia. 2 mittens, like a pendant thing, and the sock in Jorvik, England. No hats, no cowls, no wrist warmers, no shawls, definitely no sweaters. But we do allow everything pretty much except for a sweater because it's kind of plausible that they could have done it, but it's also cold. But nope, if you want to be historically accurate, mittens and a sock and a little bit of decoration on something. But anyway, so yeah, real Vikings needlebind. But I don't have any finds of a Russian stitch in the Viking Age. Just well, not here anyway. I mean, because needlebinding is like Bronze Age, but
We don't know for sure, but probably it was women's work in the Viking Age. So a man shouldn't be caught dead doing it.
but if you're cold enough, you will.
If you're cold enough, marry somebody.
Yeah, but if you don't bring home the bacon, you're gonna needlebind your own damn socks.
If you get the reputation of being a womany man, you'll never get married. So,
How many people can you not insult? Womany man, you're a womany man.
I'm talking about the Viking Age.
Oh, yeah,
If
okay.
people are insulted by this, then well, that's the problem.
No, okay. By the way, they can't go a single week without Karl insulting some nationality or something.
Do you have any odd nationalities today I can insult?
Where are you guys from? You got to say where you're from, and we'll see if Karl can insult you. Yeah, well, we had Norwegians today. We have Norwegians. We had a lot of Norwegians last week too. Go ahead, insult the Norwegians.
The Norwegians are kind of hard to get to because they never take the guided tour because they already know everything about the Viking Age. They
It's in their
read the
blood.
Norwegian version of Haggard the Horrible, which is called Horek in Norwegian. And that's,
Hagar the Horrible, yeah.
And that's about as much as the average Norwegian know about the Viking Age.
So there you go. He's good at insulting everything. Let's see. Yeah, did the Viking man needlebind? We did that question there then. You just answered that.
Well, it's so hard to say, but probably not. We don't know.
But no, because a lot of people that do reenactment have a hard time finding these things. I would safely say that we actually did a poll on this once, but the percentage of men needlebinding, I think, is higher than the percentage of men crocheting and knitting, as far as, you know, women to men in each craft. So there's a lot of men that do the needlebinding now, but
But
it's more manly to work with a needle than it is to work with sticks and a hook. Grandma didn't needlebind in their country, but in here they did, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, then you got a bunch of hi Karls. Question from a discussion I had earlier today says, Peruta, are there any Viking myths that don't start with Loki looking for shit?
Loki is the cause of the problem in most of the good mythological stories. But there are some stories that either A, don't involve him, or it wasn't his fault to begin with. Like when Trym steals Thor's hammer, for instance. I don't think Loki was... Well, he gets involved, but I don't think he was involved in the problem to begin with. It's not his fault that Trym steals the hammer.
Rhonda says, best book I know of is With One Needle. That is very good. That one is by Mervi Posanen. Man Knoll in Norwegian, Etnol. I wonder if I had those up there, but I'll have to dig them out later, though. But I don't know, about a year ago, we were going through books. What is it called? Needlebinding, What in the World is That? Is a really good one. It's got a lot of history in that one. If you want something that's very specific to just make this thing and that's it, Maria Hale's got a whole bunch of pamphlets. Maria Lind Hale. And Ann Decker's also got a lot of really nice descriptive ones for different stitches and things. I haven't written a damn thing in publication, just on Instagram. And I speak with pictures. And there's absolutely no history on my stuff because I just want to make it. Okay, we got a big question there. Okay, I'll get some more questions for you though. Karl, did you get any pictures taken on the horse last week?
No, I wasn't on the horse. So if somebody managed to photograph that, they're pretty good in Photoshop.
No, we were talking about Anders. Anders, I asked him how many followers he has now. He says, I don't know, 130 something now. And they said, how many did you get after you posted all the pictures of you riding the horse last week? But I guess he's lost track. I don't think he's lost track. I think he knows. But anyway, apparently, though, he's got people telling him how to ride a horse correctly because one of the pictures he might look like he's falling off. I don't know. I don't know anything about riding a horse, so. But anyway. So, no, you didn't ride any. I didn't go horseback riding either, but like I said, I was afraid I'd break the horse if I did. I'm actually not that big of a horse person. I don't know how I can be a girl and not be a horse person, but... Kiwi says, I think I've seen mentions of hallucinogens, I can't speak today, having been found in the so-called vulva graves. But I think the hallucinogens were plant seeds, if I remember correctly. Do you know anything about that?
There are hemp seeds on the Oseberg find, but it's so hard to say what's the meaning behind the find, because yeah, and I also, it is possible in shamanism you want to basically go to an alternate reality to talk to the spirits, but we don't know how big the element of shamanism was in Viking magic and religion. So it is very hard to say anything sensible about it.
I'm gonna move quickly though, but we'll go a little over time to get the questions answered. PG says when she does the Russian stitches, she ends up with a complete knot. Yep, I did too. Go slow, do a really loose gauge until you get the hang of it, and then you'll be fine. And don't have a really sharp needle like I did. That makes everything worse. Torben says, did we buy Grandiosa pizza or ingredients? Because I've heard of Karl's pizza toppings. We brought Grandiosa and we were going to put bananas on it, and liver pate, but not water chestnuts.
No. Yeah, the water chestnuts are off the list.
We have experimental pizza. We haven't done that in about a year now, the experimental pizza things. Actually, Greg, he's from England, and he's very specific about what you can have on the pizza. You can only have this, and every time I ask Karl in the grocery store, what do you want to get? And he's like, I don't care. Yes, no. Yes, I don't care. So we decided to tell, well, just get anything you want, we'll put it on a pizza anyway. And Greg said, no, you can't do that. And it went all crazy from there. So naturally, Karl had to make the British boy suffer. So we got bananas to put on the pizza, liver postay, which is liver pate, the water chestnuts. What else do we do? We have to try strawberries next time, maybe. The bananas were actually pretty good, and so was the liver pate. But the water chestnuts were flat out.
No doubt those don't work.
No.
I think we can probably drop every kind of nuts, but we should probably try to make one. At least once we should try to make one with coconuts.
Oh yeah, we gotta do a coconut pizza. We'll wait for Torben to get here for that.
We were mixing drinks and we bought this little bag of dried coconut things basically on impulse, or because I was tired of being in the store at all, so I just
we were gonna do experimental mixology, and so we got a bunch of regular liquors or something, and then base liquors, and then we were gonna go buy the non-alcoholic stuff, and we're sitting in the grocery store and what do you put in these things? And so
walking back here, we are basically going, okay, was that a good idea? Then we run across the guy who owns the hotel on the other side of the street.
With the bar, yeah.
And he's a bartender, so I asked him, is there anything we can do with this coconut thing for drinks?
Coconut flakes.
And he goes, yeah, you can maybe bake a cake or something.
We did find something we could put it in.
We did find a few drinks that actually uses it, and one of them wasn't all that bad.
No. I don't know. I think maybe you just kind of use, I don't know, the Barquita, or no, not the Bacardi has a Malibu rum, I think has a, you can just kind of decorate it. It's got a coconut.
You can decorate anything with coconut. That's fine, but that's also kind of cheating. It has to be an actual ingredient for it to count.
Jessica Collier says, my family is from Grinde, Norway. Where's Grinde?
I don't know.
North, south, east, west.
I don't know.
It's a pretty long country. I'll have to check that one out.
It's a small place, I guess, because I haven't heard about it. But
Karl's from Selja, Norway.
Grinde would mean something like gates. A grind is an opening in a fence that you can walk through. So maybe some of the other Norwegians in your chat knows where Grinde is.
We'll figure it out. Otherwise, I can Google real quick. Torben points out a very important fact, by the way. The Jorvik sock, it was just one sock that was found. A lot of times, if we find a sock, it's just one sock. So just so you know, Vikings only wore one sock. Okay.
And interestingly enough, all of them seem to be sharing one sock. So it was on timeshare.
Yeah.
And then, until it got lost in the mud in Jorvik. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Let's see. PJ says, by DNA, I'm 42% Scandinavian, 52% Celtic, and the rest is Greek, Italian, and Nigerian. My ancestors, however, are 50% English and 50% Irish with some gaps in the tree. I am from northern Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota, where just about everybody is something Scandinavian. I am actually Polish and German related. But that's because the top half of Minnesota is all Scandinavian, but the bottom half is German and Polish. So I am actually 75% Polish, 25% German, and I moved to Norway.
Grinde is a village in Tysvær municipality in Rogaland County in Norway.
Oh, it's in Rogaland, so
So-
down by Stavanger.
In the same county as Stavanger, at least.
Yeah.
Sneakily Googling things.
Kiwi says, been looking into the St. Simeon's needle-bound hat. That's the one with the, no, that's not with the F4 connection. That's the Trier one. Even though it's from Scandinavia, it's not from Scandinavian, it's an interesting garment. At least it shows that needle-bound hats were a thing. It was, but the St. Simeon ones is right after the Viking Age. I can't remember what, I think it's like 12 something, and we have the Viking Age ending in around 1066, Battle of...
Imagine this scenario.
Bridge? Yeah.
Some messenger comes running up from the harbor and goes, Harald Harada is dead at Stamford Bridge. Now you can start wearing needle-bound hats.
It's medieval time! No, anyway, so that's why. But that one is, the hat is just right after.
Grinde seems to be very close to Avaldsnes.
Torben says Grinde could be in the Leikanger. They have Grinde there. Oh, God. They have a Grinde there. Okay. Let's see. What else did I miss? Esme Cat, if I said that right. My mom used to make a dessert pizza when I was a kid. Had a very thin icing instead of a sauce and a lot of different fruits. We actually have cookie places that make cookie pizza. It's literally just a big-ass cookie, and it looks like cut, you know.
I think we bought
That's in the United States, by the way, not
last
Norway.
time your kids were here, I think we started buying ingredients for it, and then we just forgot about it, or we got swallowed up by work or something.
Yeah, no, we gotta
because
do
we
that.
were planning to make some kind of chocolate or candy pizza.
We have to do that. Torben, candy pizza. We have to wait until you guys have been drinking a lot of beer. A lot of the beer, I mean. Let's
Beer
see.
and candy is not a good combination.
No. No. We'll just make sure we have a bucket nearby. By the way, would the size of the sword change with the size of the man? Like my son is 6'3", I would think the second sword you showed would look like a toy for him.
Yes. It's basically you use whatever weapon you're comfortable with. Somebody who is big and tall has longer arms. So he can add to that by adding even more length to the sword. But also a guy with longer arms than me, with the same sword length as me, he will also have longer reach than me because of the arm length. And if he is also stronger than me, he can use the same sword but more quickly. So unless he sees a practical reason to improve it, to increase it, I mean. The really heavy sword.
Oh, do I need to zoom out again?
No, I'm coming.
Okay. You'll have to sit down for them to see your sword.
This one is a lot harder to parry than a lighter sword. But that comes at the expense of it also being a lot slower than a lighter sword. And the only circumstance where it actually makes a difference is if you parry at the same distance from your hand. Then you are equally strong, and the heaviest sword will win that parry, so to speak. You'll push down your opponent's sword. But you can compensate for that by just going like this much further in on your own blade, and you have a lot more leverage. The shorter your arm, the more force you can put on. Or the shorter your blade, I mean, for the purpose of this, the more pressure you can put on your opponent's blade.
How's the point of balance on the new one?
It's a little bit further away than I'm used to, but
Sure. Can you display that?
this is the...
I said we'd go a little over time for your questions anyway. Because I went on longer about needle binding than I thought, so we didn't get much Viking.
On my reenactment sword, the point of balance is like this far away from the crossguard. On this one, it's about here.
You gotta go a little higher. There we go.
So further out, it is more of a cutter than a thruster. But if you look at this point,
Yeah, put it against the white wall and then you can see it. Higher, there you go. Yeah.
this is one of my favorite rants. But there is a person. Thankfully, I don't remember his name because I would happily throw him under the bus here if I did.
Yeah, he does. He insults everybody.
He has a doctorate in medieval fighting styles.
Yeah.
And he says that you can't stab anybody with the Viking sword because it would break your wrist.
Uh-oh.
He thinks that what would happen if you stab somebody with a Viking sword is that you would get your pommel pushing into your wrist and it would break it.
Yeah?
Here is an idea. Before you write your doctorate thesis on how to use a Viking sword, try to bloody hold one. Because when you stab like this.
Yeah.
The pommel is nowhere near my wrist and I am in no risk of breaking my own arm.
What if you were
Also,
slashing?
if this weapon was not designed for stabbing, what's the point of the point?
Yeah.
If you get my point.
Piercing. By the way, I like Amaro's comment. Girls and horses are not connected. You make me feel better. All the girls liked horses when I was a kid, but not me. Well, I don't hate them. I just never really felt like it. Oh, Karin Okra says, did Vikings decorate their sheepskins to wear or warmth? Wait, did Vikings decorate their sheepskins to wear or warmth? There's something called felching, which is a Norwegian technique, I guess. Maybe it's Norwegian, but anyway, they do it all over in the cultural crafts here anyway, where you have these stamps and you take the backside of a sheepskin and you stamp them, and we don't with the ink anyway, and it makes these really cool patterns and you sew them together and you have like a papoose for your kid or something. I think that is a bit more modern than the Viking age, but anyway, do they decorate their sheepskins by anyway? I don't know if that was the way she meant, but
we don't even know that they wore skins. I would say it's extremely plausible.
because you're wearing a skin here.
The thing I'm doing here with the skin over my shoulders, I would say it's plausible enough that I think they probably did, but we have no evidence because this would be like your outdoor jacket, your winter clothing, so to speak. And when you die and you get buried, you will not be buried in your winter clothing. So we very rarely find them. Also, it's organic, so it won't last a long time underground. But this is very practical. When it rains, my sheepskin gets heavy and I don't get wet. If I need to sleep rough, I can just roll the cape around myself and use the sheepskin as a pillow. And it's also good and warm. It was, how cold was it today?
Minus 12, I think.
Yeah.
Minus 8 at least now, but yeah.
I was outside guiding and dealing with tourists for 1.5 hours today.
Celsius, by the way.
Wearing this, and it's unpleasant, but I could have done it for like 7.5 hours, no problem. So, and particularly when it comes to the people who are dressing for the chilly day in Barcelona, I am much better dressed than them. My Viking clothes are better than their modern clothes when it comes to keeping me warm.
Wasn't there a discovery recently, though, where they found like beaver pelts and things that were used to either make clothes or decorate them? Yeah, they found something rather recently, I think.
It is possible. There is a lot of new finds all the time, and I don't hear about all of them.
Yeah.
But the only things I know about when it comes to the use of furs is something like this, that I found underneath, I believe it was a silver decoration of some sort. I found a little bit of the remains of the fur. So this you have evidence for. This you don't. And it kind of boils down to what's
You have had hair.
what's culturally accepted. Also, the people who argue this point back and forth ad nauseum, not to throw an entire nation under the bus, but they are mostly English.
He likes to throw people under the bus. By the way, who made your sword?
The English don't really know what the winter is. So yes, you can survive nice enough in England just wearing wool clothes. But try a Norwegian winter and you'll see the argument for using a fur of some kind.
Albert wants to know, he asked actually twice in there, missed it. Who made your sword, by the way, your new one?
It's a Hanwei sword. It's made by the Hanwei Corporation in China.
How do you like it, though? But you're happy with it?
Yeah, I'm happy with it.
Yeah, that's good. Let's see. PJ Lightning says I'm going to try a row of 2 +1 on my null-bound skirt and see if I'm trying to make. Wish me luck. I wish you luck. It's a tricky thing, but the payoff is really good on those. It has a nice little braiding kind of thing. Let's see, what else did I miss? What does a good sword cost these days? How much did you pay for it?
253 euros plus toll and watt. So effectively about 3,000 Norwegian kroner, a little bit more.
Which is about $300. It's almost 10 to 1 now.
Yes, but it's also a matter of
Shipping and toll.
yeah.
Yeah.
And toll is a little bit wibbly wobbly, but the watt you have to kind of pay. So
VAT is taxes, yeah.
yeah, so that's 25%
Value-added
of the
tax.
original buying price added on top of it. That's for Norway. It's probably different other places.
Karin, that's what I thought. She teaches Shinfell. Shinfell is that one where you have the stamping. I did put that up in a group, a Shinfell group. Does somebody have a source for it? And someone actually did say it could be that old, but no source. Couldn't find a source.
No.
So I think, but I do know we have it back to the 1700s at least, but getting it further back than that, I think, is kind of hard to find source-wise. It probably is, but have to find it. Arlene says, I totally agree with Karl. Where I live, furs are definitely a plus for winter. Get very cold and windy here in Manitoba. We had a coworker who used to say that if you're watching the reindeer up in the mountains there, surviving in like minus 40, maybe minus 20 at least, minus 30. But anyway, and he says it wouldn't, how much knowledge would you need or intelligence would you have to be to think if that thing can survive with that fur in this temperature, maybe if I take his fur, I'll be able to survive in that temperature as well.
Also,
kind of an interesting but
we know
plausible.
that they exported furs.
Yeah, that's true.
So what was those furs used by the end user, so to speak? Is it just people in really warm parts of the world, like the Middle East, who use them to decorate their furniture? That's kind of odd.
So that might be just about as, thinking that you wear fur is very plausible. It's kind of like a null-bound hat. I think it's plausible, we just haven't found it. But we do allow it actually in our Viking village. We'll allow that.
We are, when
Because
it comes,
that one we put in it's pretty plausible. If you can yarn bomb anything.
when it comes to organics, you kind of just have to make your arguments based on reason, because you will very often not have fights. When it comes to the lengths of shafts, for instance, for axes and dynaxes, we have a good idea about the length of the dynax shaft because of portraits of Byzantine emperors with Varangians in the same portrait holding up their axe, and it looks like they can rest their chin on top of the axe head, which gives you an idea about how long the axe head should be compared to the person, how long the axe shaft should be compared to the user. But I don't know if they have any finds of a full dynax shaft.
So now we're on overtime. We've asked all the questions, I believe. Do you want to tell them about the Christmas beer tradition? I talked about it a little bit, but you're the Norwegian. What is it with the Norwegian and Christmas beer?
No, that goes back to the Viking Age.
Really? Do tell. Quick. Well, we have time. They can go over if they want to, but...
Okay, I'll give you the cliff notes.
Because next week we're going to try, if Torben can get here, we're going to be Christmas beer tasting and watching them get drunk.
Cliff notes version. Norway has two pagan kings, Harald the Fine-Haired and Erik Bloodaxe. And then we have our first Christian king, Håkon the Good. Håkon the Good is kind of like a nice guy, so he doesn't really do much to spread Christianity. But for some reason, it's really important to him that everybody has a proper party at the end of December. So he makes rules that basically, if you are a farmer and you don't have enough beer for your Christmas or midwinterblot, we are not judging, we don't care, at the end of December you will be fined. And I have Jackson Crawford as a source for this, and I don't know exactly what measurements is mentioned in the laws, but he says that translated to modern measurements, it would be something like 4 gallons of beer has to be drunk in the 3 days of your chosen religious festival. So he makes the joke that this is probably the only place where you would be pulled over by the police for being too sober. So gallon is like 4 something liters. So it's like 5 liters of beer a day. So 10 pints a day.
So alcohol poisoning was a thing?
Oh, certainly. That's one of the reasons I'm skeptical of other recreational drugs, because they are talking so much about alcohol that you would think they would mention it if they were smoking or smoking hemp or eating mushrooms in addition. The entirety of the hovedmål is basically, oh, for the love of the gods, please stop getting drunk and do stupid things. That's basically it.
So the Norwegians have, kids especially, have this big tradition of the Christmas calendars. And they're getting ridiculous. I mean, you can get with Legos, and you can spend a lot of money, or you can spend as little as 10 kroner, a little one with chocolate. But it's 24 windows, and each time, every day you open a new window and you get something in it. Last year, if you really want some humor, you can go back and see what happened when I gave Karl his Christmas calendar. Jingle balls. And they were, Chili Klaus's jingle balls, and they were kind of chocolate candies or whatever with like a massive amount of chili. He made it to about day 4. I didn't get a Christmas calendar, but watching him was pretty entertaining enough. Go show him this year's Christmas calendar.
I still owe you for last year.
Go get your Christmas calendar this year. You got a new one. It's not jingle balls, by the way. I can't do that. Oh my God, he was running for the fire extinguisher. So Karl, you and I are going to hit our 2-year anniversary on the 5th. That's what Karl and I have been dating for 2 years now. Actually, it's kind of fun. If you really want to go back to the first season, you can see before we were together, and then kind of evolves on there. So December 5th. Anyway, and I was telling him that tomorrow was our Christmas, or was our 1st-year anniversary, and I didn't think we were gonna make it. Okay, this is Karl's. What is that thing?
It's beer.
24 days of beer.
But shouldn't we really just drink the first 3 of them?
Well, you can. It's up to you, because you were supposed to try them with Torben. But you could. I'm not going to drink them, but I can't. But so there you go. It's a man's Christmas calendar. 24 days of beer.
I think we leave it for next week.
Yeah.
Hopefully Torben will be here. And Greg doesn't drink beer, but maybe we can convince Rune and Louisa to come.
Yeah, I think so. Greg said he could make it next week, by the way. So
Does Louisa drink?
I don't know, but we could try and see what happens if we put alcohol in her. Louisa's like 22. She's so innocent. we have to.
Oh yeah, no, I tried. I was once in a drinking competition with a Polish girl.
Yeah.
I lost spectacularly.
Oh no, the Polish can drink. My whole family could.
Yeah. You know, I still can't really explain what happened, because first of all, generally speaking, as an average, man handles alcohol better than women. Men can drink more than women if they weigh about the same.
Yeah.
Secondly, I weigh considerably more than this Polish girl. She was a tiny little sparrow of a person.
You don't weigh much at all.
But she has about my body size and is like this much shorter than me.
Okay, yeah.
And we are drinking vodka neat.
Mm.
Apparently, you can somehow work up tolerance to vodka if you get it with your mother's milk as a kid.
Okay, I didn't know
So
that.
she was, I didn't either. And scientifically it makes no sense. But she was completely fine. Fuck me, I think she even drove home.
Oh my God.
You shouldn't be doing that.
Don't
by
do
the way.
that. Oswald,
But
don't.
I couldn't walk. I needed people to basically get me to my feet so I could put my shoes on. Because I was...
I've seen you like that. You were a puddle.
Yeah.
Yep. So there you go. Next week, Torben's gonna come and we'll open the Christmas beer.
Yeah.
And then Torben's got some fun Christmas beer he wants to try too. This one is only from 6 different breweries, so I'm not even sure if it's Christmas beer or just 6 different kinds of beer, or 4 different kinds of beers from each. I don't know. It'll be fun to see. So anyway, we're gonna go because we're like late. But next week it'll definitely be an overtime week if they're drinking. Last time we tried to go through 18 different kinds of Christmas beer. It took an hour and a half, but oh my God, it was getting funnier and funnier as the time went on. So that should be a pretty good one. I don't know how much needle binding we're going to get done, but the idea of you and Torben critiquing beer is got to be flipping hilarious. If you haven't heard Torben critique beer.
But in case somebody gets
a little. Oh, I have to drive. I can't drink it anyway. I'm allergic.
In case somebody doesn't stay on the shallow side of the pool, you should probably have some kind of kill switch on your stream.
Yeah, I know. I have it.
Because if somebody starts doing, now I want to tell you something that you should be listening to.
This is my kill switch. Hi. No, anyway, but we will see you next week, same time, 6 o'clock. Yep, and good luck with the Russian stitches. Let me know how it goes. They're fun once you get the hang of it.
Russians, they're fun once you get the hang of it.
It has nothing to do with Russia. I don't know why it's called that. It's like the Finnish stitches have nothing to do with Finland. Not, well, a little anyway. Okay, bye.
Bye.
The end there.